bro. Stop. Before you skip this, I need you to hear something that is going to hit different. Every single thing they told you about being a good dude, about being humble, about keeping your head down and waiting your turn, that was the con. And while you were out here being the nice guy, somebody else was cashing your check. Let me show you exactly how they played you. Phase 1, the niceness tax. You've been getting robbed and saying thank you. Straight up, no sugarcoating. There is actual data, not vibes, not feelings. Actual peer-reviewed economic psychology that shows a direct negative correlation between how agreeable a dude is and how much bread he stacks. Translation? The nicer you are, the broker you are, period. And yeah, I know that burns, but sit with it. Here's what being nice actually looks like in the real world. You get tagged in a Slack message for a project that has nothing to do with your role. And instead of saying, "Nah, I'm swamped," you say, "Sure, no problem." You get lowballed on a salary offer, and instead of countering, you smile and sign because you don't want to seem thirsty. Somebody owes you money and hits you with, "Bro, just give me another week." And you say, "Yeah, it's all good," because you don't want the awkward. Homie, you are not being kind, you are being a pushover, and then calling it a virtue so you can sleep at night. There's a word for what's really happening. Conflict avoidance. Plain and simple. You are terrified of the tension that comes from standing on your worth. And every single time you dodge that tension, you are leaving money on the table. Real talk. In any negotiation, money only moves from their pocket to yours if there is a reason. If you come in all soft and agreeable, you just gave them the reason to keep it. You signaled that you can be talked down. You signaled that you will eat a loss before you throw hands over your standards. The guys who are actually getting paid, they create the tension. They let it sit there, thick and uncomfortable, and they do not flinch. They understand that the deal is not personal. It is a transfer of power, and power does not move toward whoever smiles the biggest. Old Machiavelli, the goat of strategic thinking, dropped this 500 years ago. It is better to be feared than loved. If you cannot be both, but here is the part people sleep on. In the business world, love means your boss thinks you are a solid dude. Fear means your boss knows that if he does not pay you right, you are walking out the door and taking his 3 biggest clients with you. Love gets you a pizza party. Fear gets you a raise. Which one pays your rent? So start auditing yourself. Be real. Where are you trading your profit for politeness? Where are you absorbing a loss just to keep the vibe? Cut that out. Let the silence stretch. Let the emails sit for 24 hours unanswered. Let them stew. The moment you stop sprinting to fix everybody else's anxiety, you become the authority in the room. And money moves toward authority the same way water moves toward the dream. Naturally, inevitably. Phase 2, the corporate psychopath playbook. Weaponized ice. All right, here's a stat that is going to make a lot of people in the comments uncomfortable. In the general population, clinical psychopathic traits show up in about 1% of people. Among CEOs and high-level executives, that number jumps to somewhere between 4 and 12 times higher. Now the average person hears that and goes, "See, rich people are evil." That is a broke person's reaction. The strategic thinker asks a different question. What is the actual utility of that trait? What is it actually doing for them? Because here is the thing. These are not serial killers we are talking about. They are not out here doing wild stuff. What they have is a very specific ability. They can completely detach emotion from a decision when the situation requires it. High risk tolerance, low fear, and crucially, they do not spiral into guilt when a necessary call has to be made. You do not need to be a clinical anything. You just need to practice strategic coldness. Think about a surgeon. If that dude is sobbing every time he makes an incision, the patient dies on the table. To actually save the life, he has to go cold. He has to look at the human body in front of him, like a mechanic looks at an engine. Not because he does not care, but because caring in that moment would cost the patient their life. Your finances need that same energy. The nice guy manager has an underperforming employee. He sees a father of 2 kids with a mortgage and a car note, so he keeps him on the team. He covers for him in meetings. He pulls the whole squad's performance down, trying to protect one dude's feelings. The company starts bleeding. 6 months later, everyone is out of a job. The feared leader looks at that same employee and sees a broken component. He makes the call. Clean. Quick, the company stabilizes. The other 50 people keep their families fed. Now, who was actually the good person there? Machiavelli said it like this: a man who insists on being good in every situation will come to ruin among the many who are not good. The market is not good. Your competitors are not good. Inflation is not good. You cannot pull up to a Shark Tank with your arms open for a hug and expect to make friends. You will become the meal. You have to develop the ability to look at a deal, a partnership, an investment, and only ask one question. Does this move the empire forward? If the answer is no, you cut it. No long explanation. No, I hope there are no hard feelings. You just cut it. That level of detachment freaks people out. When they figure out they cannot guilt trip you, when they realize their emotional manipulation has no effect on you, they get quiet. They realize their normal arsenal is empty. They have nothing left to use, and that is the exact moment they start to respect you, because they can see you are running a completely different operating system. Logic over emotion. And in a world that is drowning in emotional chaos, the logical dude is always the king of the room. Phase 3, the economics of dread. Become a man of consequences. Let me ask you something real quick. Why do people pay the IRS? Do they love the government? Are they passionate about funding highway maintenance? Absolutely not. They pay because they are terrified of what happens if they do not. The audit, the penalties, the very real possibility of a cage. The entire global financial infrastructure runs on one thing underneath all the fancy language: consequence. If you want to stack wealth, you have to become a man of consequences. Machiavelli put it coldly and correctly. Love is held together by obligation, and because people are fundamentally self-interested, they will break that obligation the moment it benefits them to do so. But fear of punishment, that never fails. Read that again, slowly. Have you ever lent money to a ride or die? Somebody you actually love, you actually trust, somebody you grew up with, and when payday came, they ghosted, or they hit you with, "Bro, I swear, I got you. Just give me till Friday." They disrespected you because of the love, because they knew you were not going to flip out. They knew you were too understanding, too solid, too loyal to make it ugly. Your love gave them the permission to play you. Now think about a bank. Think about a lender with actual leverage. You pay on time, every time, because the consequence is not theoretical. It is real, and it is waiting. Stop being the friend. Start being the bank. This does not mean you are out here threatening people. It means in every single interaction, every negotiation, every deal, the other party has to feel in their gut that you are fully prepared to walk if they sense even a little bit that you need this deal to close. They own you. You are done before you even started. But if you sit back, unbothered, voice flat, and say, I'm not sure this is the right fit for me, their whole energy shifts. They fear losing access to your value, and fear moves money. You have to engineer your life so that you are the prize. Scarcity creates value. Think about it. Air is free because it is everywhere. Gold is expensive because it is not. If you are always available, always cheerful, always quick to respond, always ready to make it work, you are abundant. Abundant things are cheap. Be gold. Be dense. Be hard to move. When you are difficult to access, people naturally assume your time is worth something. When you are difficult to impress, people raise their game to meet your level. There is a story about a legendary creative director back in the 60s. Dude would sit at the head of the conference table in dead silence while people pitched ideas, sweating, stammering, trying to read his face. He would just stare. Sometimes he would nod once. Sometimes he would just stand up and walk out without a word. His approval became the most expensive commodity in the whole industry. Clients were dropping millions just to get that single nod. If he had been warm and chatty and collaborative and great idea, he would have just been another employee. His silence turned him into a myth. His unpredictability made him feared, and his fear made him generationally wealthy. You are too accessible. You reply in 2 minutes. You smile at everything. You are actively devaluing yourself in real time. Start using the strategic pause. Somebody quotes you a number. Do not say anything. Just look at them. Count 5 seconds in your head. Watch them come apart. Well, we could probably knock it down 10%. You said nothing. Your silence did the whole negotiation for you. That is the power of the void. People cannot stand silence because in the silence, they project every insecurity they have ever had. Use that. Let them fill it. Let them fill it. Let them crack. Phase 4. The Hydra mindset. When the world cannot break you, it has to pay you. Machiavelli spent years studying the rise and the collapse of Rome. And the pattern he kept seeing was that the leaders who were one-dimensional, who had one way of operating, one source of power, they always broke eventually. Because the world does not stay the same. Markets crash, industries evaporate, trends flip overnight, alliances that looked solid turn into liabilities. To build real, generational, leave it to your kids' wealth, you cannot just be strong. You have to be dangerous in multiple environments. Simultaneously, you have to become the Hydra. Cut 1 head off, and 2 grow back. The most feared version of a man is not just feared because of what he can do to you. He is feared because there is nothing you can do to him. That is the ultimate leverage. And yes, eventually that becomes FU money. But long before you have the money, you need the FU mindset. Most dudes out here are fragile. in ways they have not even acknowledged to themselves yet. One income stream. One boss who could fire them tomorrow. One boss who could fire them tomorrow. One industry that could be disrupted by the end of the year. That kind of fragility makes you compliant. It makes you a yes man. It makes you a sheep because you are absolutely terrified of losing your spot in line. The wolf is not afraid of the forest. The wolf understands the forest. You have to show the world, not through words, but through your actual vibe and your actual life structure, that you have options. If this gig disappears, 3 offers are already in my inbox. If this investment goes sideways, I have 9 others generating while I sleep. You do not announce this. You do not post it. You emanate it. And it creates an aura that is genuinely intimidating to people who are locked into one lane. Machiavelli warned the prince never to rely on borrowed strength, never to depend on other people's armies. In 2025 terms, if you are building your whole presence on a rented platform, if your entire audience lives on an app you do not own, with no email list, no own distribution, no direct line to your people, you are a sharecropper. The landlord can evict you on a Tuesday for violating some policy you never read, and your whole empire is gone by Wednesday. But the sharecropper who saved up and bought the land next door, the landlord does not threaten that guy. He invites him to the meeting. Build your life so that no single individual, no single platform, no single company holds the key to your survival, because the moment people realize they literally cannot ruin you, they stop trying to control you. And once they stop trying to control you, they come back, but this time on your terms, because they need you. And there is nothing on this earth more terrifying to a person who is used to pulling strings than a man who genuinely does not need anything from them. Phase 5, the reputation of ruthlessness. Let them talk. Okay, let's address what you are actually scared of. Reputation. You are afraid that if you start moving differently, if you start saying no and holding your standards and charging what you are actually worth, people are going to talk. They are going to say, you changed. They are going to say, you changed. They are going to say, you are difficult to work with. Good. Let them run their mouths. Let them post about it. You really think Jeff Bezos is losing sleep because former employees said he was demanding? You think Elon Musk is going home and crying because people on the internet think he is chaotic? No, they use it. They weaponize the narrative. A reputation for being ruthless is a filter, and it filters out exactly the kind of people you do not want anywhere near your operation. The weak, the lazy. If people already know you are a hard man to work with, they're not going to walk into your office with a half-prepared pitch and a wing and a prayer attitude. They are going to check their work 3 times. They are going to show up ready. They are going to bring their A game because they know you will send them home otherwise. You save time. You save energy. You save yourself from the slow death of tolerating mediocrity. Machiavelli was clear. Being both loved and feared is the ideal. But when you have to pick, security comes from fear. The security of your standards, the security of your time. When you are known as someone who does not tolerate average stops even trying to get through the door, and excellence starts seeking you out, because high performers do not want to work with the chill boss who lets the team do whatever. They want to work with the intense boss who forces them to be great, who pushes them past what they thought was their ceiling. By being feared, you magnetize the best and you repel the worst. That is the efficiency of having high standards. But then this part is critical, so do not miss it. You have to be actually elite. Fear without competence is just being a bully. And bullies get overthrown. Always. Fear combined with genuine mastery is authority, and authority gets paid every single time. You have to be so undeniably skilled, so relentlessly effective, so clearly on a different level that your high standards are understood as the price of admission to working with a master. Steve Jobs was not a pleasant human being by most accounts. He was reportedly terrifying to be around, but he built the most valuable company this planet has ever seen. People endured the intensity because being near that level of greatness was worth it. If you are mediocre and you are cold, you are just an unpleasant person nobody wants to deal with. If you are elite and you are formidable, you are a legend. So the question is never, how do I make people afraid of me? The real question is, how do I become so competent, so locked in, so undeniably effective that my standards alone are enough to intimidate anyone who is comfortable being average? Phase 6, the discipline of discarding. Cut what is dead. Most people stay broke their whole lives because they cannot bring themselves to let go of what is not working. They hold on to a business idea that has been dead for 2 years because it was their first one, their baby, their whole identity. For a minute, they keep a toxic business partner on the team because we go way back. They hold a losing position in the market because admitting they were wrong feels worse than the actual loss. That is the sunk cost fallacy. But in real strategic thinking, it is simpler than that. It is just weakness dressed up in sentimentality. To build an empire, you have to become completely ruthless toward your own attachments. Machiavelli praised leaders who could execute what he called cruelties well used, meaning do the hard thing once, completely, rather than letting a wound stay open and get infected over months. If you have to let someone go, do not drag it out for 3 months with performance improvement plans and bi-weekly check-ins. And let's see if things improve. Make the call, cut the limb, save the body. The nice manager stretches it out for 6 months. The employee is in limbo. The team is stressed. The whole operation bleeds slowly. The feared leader makes the call on Tuesday. By Wednesday, the air is clear. By Friday, the team is moving at full speed again. Which one was actually the more humane option? Wealth is a constant pruning process. Every quarter you need to sit down and get honest with yourself. What is dead in my life right now? Is it a habit, a friendship, a client relationship, a strategy that used to work and does not anymore? If it is not actively growing, it is rotting, and rot spreads. You have to remove it before it infects everything healthy around it. This is going to go against every instinct you have. You are biologically wired to bond, to hold on, to protect the familiar. But you are not here to obey your biology. You are here to transcend it. And here is the move that makes people genuinely respect and fear you in negotiations. When you walk away from a deal at the last minute because one term shifted and it no longer meets your standard, you establish something money cannot buy. You establish that your standards sit above your greed. Most people are so desperate to close that they will absorb disrespect just to finish the deal. They will eat terms they hate just to be done. You won't. You will let it burn and walk out. And paradoxically, That willingness to torch your own opportunity rather than accept disrespect is exactly why people will eventually give you whatever you ask. Phase 7, the fortress of silence. Information is currency, and you're giving it away free. Business is war. Information is the ammunition. And the friendly, relatable, oversharing, nice guy, he is running through the battlefield with his vest off and his pockets empty, handing out his ammo to the other side. He tells his coworkers what he is stressed about. He tells his competitors what his 5-year plan looks like. He tells his clients when he is desperate for the work. He thinks he is building connection. He is building his own coffin. Machiavelli said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Very few experience what you actually are. To operate at the highest level, you have to become a black box, unreadable, unpredictable, an anomaly. When people know everything about you, they can map you, they can predict your moves, and if they can predict you, they can game you. They can lowball you because they heard through the grapevine you are stressed about money right now. They can push you around in negotiations because they know your deadline is tighter than theirs. But when you are a mystery, when your cards are completely invisible, they panic. Does he even need this deal? Does he have a better offer sitting in his inbox right now? Is he bored with us? Is he angry? They have to guess. And when people guess, they almost always default to caution, which means they come in with more money, better terms, and more respect just to be safe. Stop announcing your why. Stop broadcasting your struggles. Stop telling people your timeline, your goals, your doubts. Execute in silence. Let the results surface on their own. Let the proof speak louder than your explanations ever could. In a negotiation, you should be speaking about 20% of the time and genuinely listening 80% of the time. The person who talks the most reveals the most. The person who listens harvests intelligence. Silence is weight. It presses on people. It makes them nervous. And nervous people talk. They ramble. They reveal their actual deadline. They accidentally show you exactly where their line in the sand is. You just sit there. You nod slowly. You take your mental notes. You are the predator in the tall grass. You do not make a sound until you strike. This creates an imbalance that is incredibly powerful. They feel completely exposed and seen while you remain armored and opaque. In the age of social media where everybody is posting their whole internal monologue online, chasing likes and engagement and validation, the man who stays genuinely mysterious is a different species. He is the anomaly. He is the riddle nobody can solve. Be that man. Let them wonder. Let them build theories about how you operate. The myth is always more powerful and more profitable than the reality. Phase 8, immunity to hatred, the final test. Here is the part nobody in these kinds of videos wants to say out loud because it is genuinely uncomfortable. If you actually do all of this, if you become efficient, ruthless, silent, and seriously wealthy, people are going to hate you, not just dislike you, genuinely despise you. The friends who stayed comfortable and stayed broke are going to call you arrogant. Your family is going to say, "You changed," like that is an accusation. Your competitors are going to brand you as the villain, and most people cave right here. They cannot handle the social exile. They start shrinking themselves to fit back in. They apologize for their wins. I've just been really lucky, honestly. I don't know. Things just kind of worked out. Stop. Apologizing for your power is a betrayal of everything you built. Machiavelli understood that envy is literally the shadow of success. You cannot have sunlight without a shadow. You cannot have the level of wealth you are after without triggering the envy of people who chose differently. You have to develop a complete immunity to being hated. And eventually, and this is the part that flips your whole perspective, you learn to feed on it. When someone despises you for what you have built, it is not a statement about you. It is a confession about them. You became a mirror that reflects back their own wasted potential, their own unchosen paths, their own excuses. Do not dim your light to make their darkness feel less painful. That is not kindness. That is self-sabotage, dressed as empathy. The wealthy man understands that being the villain in a broke person's story is not shameful. It is confirmation. It means you moved the needle. It means you disrupted their comfortable narrative about why they could not do it. If 100% of people think you are great, you are a people pleaser. You are a mirror, not a force. But if half the room respects you and the other half is intimidated by you, you are a force of nature. And here is what that kind of disregard for external approval actually unlocks: freedom, real freedom. When you genuinely stop caring what the crowd thinks, you stop being the crowd's prisoner. You can say no without rehearsing it. You can charge your actual rate without feeling guilty. You can fire the client who drains your energy. You can pursue your goals without looking over your shoulder every 10 seconds, checking if everybody is cool with it. You become sovereign, and that state of mind where you have stopped seeking permission from people who never had the authority to grant it in the first place, that is exactly where wealth becomes inevitable. Not because you are grinding for money specifically, but because you have removed the biggest block that was standing between you and it, the terror of social rejection. You crossed the river. You burned the bridge behind you. There is no going back to the village of the agreeable and the comfortable. You are out in the wild now, and the wild only rewards one thing: the wolf, not the sheep. Phase 9, the ethics of power. This is not villain behavior. I know the voice in your head right now, but isn't this kind of sociopathic? Isn't this manipulation? Let's actually think about this clearly. Instead of reacting emotionally, is a seatbelt evil because it restricts how you move in the car? Is a deadbolt on your front door unfriendly to your neighbors? No. And that is exactly what this framework is: a protective system for your mind, your time, your resources, and your future in a world that will extract everything from you and replace you the next morning if you let it. Machiavelli was very precise about this distinction. Unnecessary cruelty, cruelty for its own sake, for the pleasure of it, creates a specific kind of hatred that is genuinely dangerous. You do not want your own people despising you. What you want is respect that is grounded in a healthy awareness of your competence and your non-negotiable standards. There is a clean line between a tyrant and a king. The tyrant inflicts pain because he can. The king makes hard calls to maintain the order that protects everyone under his responsibility. When you let the underperforming employee go, you are protecting the 49 who are pulling their weight and deserve a functional operation. When you charge premium prices, you are protecting the quality of what you deliver. When you enforce the contract to the letter, you are protecting the integrity of the market that everyone in it depends on. That is not evil. That is order. And order is what creates the conditions for wealth to exist and grow. The overly agreeable guy is the actual source of chaos. He lets standards erode slowly because he cannot stomach the confrontation of enforcing them. He lets promises get broken because calling it out feels rude. He watches the whole structure rot from the inside because he is too conflict avoidant to pick up a tool and fix it. Chaos destroys wealth every single time. Order creates it every single time. You are the agent of order. You are the one with the stomach to make the calls that keep the whole system running and growing. You bear the weight of being the bad guy in someone's story so that the actual result is good for everyone involved. That is not cruelty. That is leadership. That is accountability at the highest level. And yes, it pays extremely well because almost nobody else has the stomach for it. They want the crown, but they do not want the weight of it. They want the gold, but they will not hold the sword. You are willing to hold both. Phase 10. The grand synthesis. Who you actually are underneath all the programming. Everything we have covered, the tactics, the frameworks, the strategic playbooks, all of it is useless without the internal shift to back it up. You cannot just perform this. You have to actually become it. There is a version of you that has been dormant for years, an older version, a version that is ancient and instinctive and knows how to move with purpose and hunt and build. Society buried that version of you under a mountain of cheap dopamine hits, manufactured comfort, endless safety nets, and the constant reassurance that the most important thing you can do is make sure everybody around you feels okay. It is time to dig him out. Look at your bank account right now. Is that number a reflection of your genuine capabilities, or is it a reflection of how many times you said yes when you meant no? Look at your calendar. Whose priorities are actually filling it? Yours or everybody else's? Look yourself in the eyes in the mirror. What do you see staring back at you to get actually rich? Not comfortable, not okay, not doing all right. You have to eliminate the prey mindset completely. You have to stop waiting for somebody to give you the green light. You have to fully internalize the fact that the world owes you absolutely nothing. What the world owes you absolutely nothing is give you exactly what you are capable of taking and holding on to. Machiavelli wrote The Prince in Exile. He had lost everything: his position, his influence, his status, his freedom, gone. He was tortured. He was cast out like he was nothing, and sitting in that darkness with nothing left to protect and nothing left to lose, he saw the world as it actually is, not as we wish it were. He saw that it is a stage, and the overwhelming majority of people on that stage are just reciting the lines they were handed at birth. Be humble, be patient, do not take up too much space, do not seem greedy, wait your turn. He said, throw the script away, write your own, and let the first line of your version read, I am not here to be liked. I am here to be effective. Walk into a room carrying that energy and everything changes. The temperature shifts. People put down their phones. They sit up straight. They pay actual attention. Because when a man who has done the internal work walks in, the room knows. Kings do not beg for attention. They command it without trying. I have given you the framework. I showed you the diagnosis, and I handed you the surgical tools. I showed you that what you have been calling your goodness is mostly just fear in a better outfit, and that what you have been calling greed is just an unexpressed desire for sovereignty over your own life. But knowing the road is not the same as walking it, the overwhelming majority of people who watch this will close it out and go right back to their comfortable patterns. Back to the discount prices, back to the slow drain of being a good person in a system designed to reward something else entirely. But somebody watching this right now felt something shift, 1 in 1,000 maybe. A gear turning somewhere behind your eyes. The recognition that you have been playing a game with rules that were deliberately designed to make you lose. And now you see it clearly. You see that what you have been calling fear is not a wall at all. It is a door, and you are finally ready to walk through it. Just know, it is cold on the other side. It is quiet. Nobody is going to clap for you. There are no hugs waiting at the summit. There is only silence and the gold.